Hi everyone, welcome back to the Midwest Stitches YouTube channel. My name is Danielle and this is my channel where I talk all about my crafting adventures. Today is Friday, July 11th, and I have a lot of finished objects to show you since the last time we chatted, and not a lot of works in progress, just two, but I do have two new socks I'm going to cast on, so I'm going to show you the yarn for that and kind of talk about it a little bit. So let's just dive on in. All of my social media links you will see here across the screen, and they are linked in the description box down below. If you're looking for any details on my projects for knit and crochet, those are on Ravelry, so you can find me over there. Follow me over there if you want to see updated pictures or any of the details on those. Okay, so we're just going to jump in, obviously, with all of the finished objects, and there's a lot of socks. Let's start with all of these. There's all of my finished socks. Actually, that's not true. I'm missing a pair. Hold on. These are all my finished socks. These were started last time. You saw one of them, but I did complete the pair. And here they are. They are so amazing. Look at those. I love these so much. They turned out so great. So this sock set, this was the first one, and then I swapped it for the red. It actually worked out. I talked about that the last time. I wasn't sure if the stripes were going to line up to where I was going to be able to end with the red toe, but it did. Anyway, the yarn is Stitching with Yarn American Flag sock set, and it was 250 grams, the blue and the red. And there's a side where I striped them. I used the Crazy Sock Ladies striping two colors. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called Striping Two Colors in Socks tutorial. It's on her YouTube channel under the tutorial playlist. So just head on over there and check out that playlist if you're curious. But these I did 2mm needles, 64 stitches. That's the norm for these for me. And for these, actually not 64 stitches, I take the back. I did 60 for these. I kind of did a little experiment because Stitching with Yarn, Christy, her yarn base is a little bit more of a plumper 75-25. Still great. I love it. But I noticed the socks that I have with her yarn are a little bit loose on me. So I thought I would try 60 stitches and see how that turned out. The only modification I made is, besides the stitch count, I did 34, was that right? I think it was 34 rows for the heel flap, and just added a couple of extra rows just to make that a little bit taller in the back, just to see how that would fit once I finally do wear them. And then maybe I'll make that switch on other pairs of socks. There are those. I'm happy to have these, and I need to get those in the wash. My next finished pair, I'm actually presenting these in the order that I knit them, so we're just going in the order that they were completed. These are another pair of patriotic socks, and these are a DK pair. This is Yarnable Oh My Stars colorway. This was from July of last year. And for these, I used the DK weight vanilla sock pattern from the Crazy Sock Lady and just followed the small size, the 40 stitch count, because this is more of a worsted weight. However, I discovered, because I tried these on myself, these are not for me, these are for a gift, but I tried the first one on and was a little tight, so I don't know if I just did the cast on too tight. We'll see if they fit the recipient once they are finally given to them. But I thought because this was an 85-15 blend that I could use a smaller stitch count and a bigger needle, which I do with more of a worsted weight yarn. For example, like an 80-20 comes out to be more of a worsted when you hold it double. But I compared the labels. So my 80-20 that I have left, the yardage is less. I can't remember how much it is for those, but this is like 400, I think it's 437 yards, whereas the 75-25 ones that I have, those are closer to like 463 or something like that. So this was kind of right in the middle for yardage. So I probably could have done my normal DK recipe, which is 48 stitches, 2.75 millimeter needle, as opposed to these are a 3.5 millimeter needle with 40 stitches. So maybe for the next pair, if I do this same base in a fingering weight held double, I will try that out and see if they come out a similar size. But that's okay. If they don't fit, I'll just, I don't know, I'll find somebody who they will fit, or they might be like bigger, you know, kind of cozy, like slouchy socks on someone. Anyway, those are done. I pretty much used up all of this yarn except for, I want to say it was like under 20 grams. So I used some in a few other projects that I will show you here in a minute and kind of used all of that up. And then I had a tiny bit of leftovers that I added to my scrap bag for another project later on. The next finished pair of socks are another DK pair because I'm still on that train. And here they are. This sock set, this yarn is Freckled Whimsy Snow Cones. I have it right here. Why am I trying to guess? Oh, Sunshine and Snow Cones. And this was from July of 2023. So exactly 2 years after I got it, I knit it up. I can't believe it has been that long since I got this. But I did subscribe to Freckled Whimsy for a little while there to her Yarn of the Month Club, which is just no real like she had a Halloween one for a while, she had a Christmas one, but this is just like the normal Yarn of the Month, kind of a free-for-all, I guess. So anyway, I did these held double, same as those other ones, except this yarn is thinner, so I did 48 stitches, 2.75 millimeter needle. And I pretty much used up all of this yarn too, except for about 6.5 grams, which I added to my Little Squares knitted blanket. So you'll see the rest of that in a minute. There was about a gram left once I was done with that, so I just threw it in the trash. I didn't care to keep it. So this was the first one I did, and you can see that the stripes look so nice. And then the second one, and I pulled from the inside of the outside of the cake. I did not split it. So then the second one was more marled. Still stripy, but definitely it got more marled as it went down. And yeah, so there are those. This is actually, these two right here are actually yarns off of my summer basket list. So I get to mark 2 more off. I have 4 yarns left, and I think there was 9 when I started. So there will be 2 more DK pairs and 2 more fingering weight pairs because I have 2 full 100 gram skeins left in that bit of yarn, and then I have 2 50 gram sock sets. So there we have that. And I will show probably an updated picture on Instagram, I think at the end of July, just because I will probably have another pair done. So I just want to, be able to add that little check mark to one of those before I go into August knitting. Okay, my last pair of socks, I have them on the blockers because I just took a picture of them for Instagram before I started. So that's why none of the other pairs, I only have 1 set of blockers. So only 1 pair at a time. So here are these. It's kind of getting blown out a little bit because of the light. Let me turn that down. Okay, that's a little better. That's more accurate on the colors. So this sock set is from Legacy Fiber Arts. And it is the June Schitt's Creek Club colorway, yikes, called Cafe Tropical. I don't know how they pronounce on the show. Whatever, doesn't matter. It was a 50 gram and a 20 gram. I get the micro sock set from them. These were 2mm, 64 stitches. I just did my normal recipe. I didn't change the heel flap or anything for these. And I actually just finished these last night. So I officially have no socks on the needles as of recording this. That's going to change, but I finished up this pair and that was the last work in progress that I had going. Can you believe that? So very excited to have these done. I have not knit up every single month. I've knit up 2 of these so far. I've gotten every single one since they started it in January, but I haven't knit them all up yet. I don't know if I'm going to. It's just kind of like I get one in the mail, and if it's more of like a mood thing for me, if it's like, ooh, I love that, I have to knit it right now, then I will cake it up and I will cast it on either that day or sometime later in that month. Not all of them have been that way. I've loved every single one and the inspiration behind them, but sometimes I just kind of put them, I have a basket that I put them in, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to add that to my yarn collection and I will knit it at a later date whenever the mood strikes me, or if I'm going through and working through my stash and I see that, and I'll cake it up. So yeah, I'm hoping to maybe start knitting these as they come in, because I'm only getting this yarn and Yarnable currently. I know next year, like once I have the full 12 months of this, just because I love the show and I want to get the full collection that they're coming out with. So I'm going to go through until December. I obviously won't have this yarn coming in anymore every month, and I'm undecided about Yarnable. I have loved so far the colors that I've gotten. I resubscribed in February, so I got March's box, and I've gotten it March, April, May, June, and then I got July's. So we'll see. I might go till December, and then I'm this is kind of off topic, but I'm kind of thinking for next year that I'm gonna go like full no buy for yarn. I know it's kind of crazy, but this year I've kind of like, over the last 2 years, it's like I've kind of slowed down on my yarn buying, and it's like each year I've bought a little bit less. The only big purchases I've had of yarn this year are to finish bigger projects, like my DK Hexi blanket. I bought some bare undyed yarn, which you can't see, but it's back here on this table, on my sewing table in the bags. But I have two more blanket projects I want to start. So I knew I wanted to use bare undyed for some contrast color, so I just went ahead and bought like bulk packs. And those are like the only big yarn purchases that I'm making if it's to finish up a project. Besides these, that's all I'm really buying right now, because I'm really loving using up my stash and getting creative with it. So that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm already thinking about next year, like starting in January, going full no buy with very limited exceptions. You know, I have a bunch of blankets going, and I have some ideas for more. So if I need like the contrast color that I'm using for whatever that is, then I will allow myself to purchase those yarns, because I know it will be to complete a project. But I think other than that, I'm really going to lean even more into using up my stash and trying to whittle that down, mostly because I'm running out of room to store. I know it doesn't look like it. You're like, this looks like a big space, but I only have so much space, because this loft that I'm in, we had to put storage in it. Like, if you're not familiar, this like closet thing you see back here, we had to put that in. This loft came with no storage whatsoever. Like, this house, no linen closet. There's only like 2 closets in the whole house. It's insane. Our house is decent size. It's like a mid-size house. It's not like super big. It's not super small, but for the size house that it is, it came with almost no storage closets or storage period. So if you don't have like a dresser, or if like furniture, like, you know, like a cart or something, you know, this cabinet, there's a sink above it. weird things. So if you don't add in the storage like we did with this closet unit thing that's hung on the walls, I wouldn't have a closet. So some of my yarn is actually stored back there in that, along with sewing stuff. I mean, it's just kind of all over the place. Anyway, that's a side rant. Yeah, so these are done. Super happy with all of them, and now they will go in the washing machine and get washed, because I've kind of gotten into the mode where I don't like, so these are for me. These are both gifts, so I'm not going to wash them, but these 2 pairs are for me. So I've gotten into the mode where I finish a pair of socks, I show them on here, I automatically put them in my laundry basket, and then I wash them, and then I will wear them. I find that if you have a yarn that might be a little bit rougher feeling, that as soon as you wash them, they soften right up, and they're amazing. So I've just done that with all of mine. I even had a bunch that I had not worn and washed, and I just took them all and just threw them in the washing machine, dried them. And honestly, I don't even, like, I usually wash in cold water or cool water, or sometimes warm, depending on what I'm washing, but most of the time it's cool water, and it's all cold rinses on our washing machine. But like our dryer, I will dry them in like a medium heat, because that's kind of the setting I use for everything. And I have not found it to be a problem. So I don't do anything special. There's no like gentle cycle or any of that stuff. These kinds of things, because I make so many, I'm not super gentle with them. If it was like a hand knit sweater or a garment, I probably would be more gentle with it. I might hand wash those, or, you know, line dry them or lay them out to dry or something. I'd probably be more precious with them. Not really precious with my socks, because I'm wearing them around the house in shoes. So in my opinion, there's no need for all that. If you have a lot of them, if you only make a pair or 2, sure, be precious with them, you know, take super special care, but I don't bother with all that, because that would drive me crazy. So there's my 4. Oh, I have them. Oops. So there's my 4 finished pairs of socks. Oh, can you believe that? Most of these were finished this month. I think all of them were cast on and finished. What? Is that right? I'm gonna have to look that up. I think these were all cast on and finished pretty much within the last like 3 weeks. Insane. So there are those. Now I have a really exciting finished object to share with you. I finished the quilt I was working on. Oh, look at it. So this is just like a rolled up view, obviously, folded up. I will stand back there and show you in a second, but okay. I will show you here close up. Maybe you can see some of the free motion quilting I did. I just did kind of a loop-de-loop pattern. This is my first kind of free motion quilt. I've done like some small like wall hanging quilts that I free motion, but they were like the size of one of these blocks. So doing a free motion on that, super easy. Doing it on this, even though it's just like a kind of a twin size lap blanket, so different. Not the same thing. I was very delusional when it came to making this. I honestly had it in my brain that once I got it like basted and had a Saturday or Sunday to work on it, that I could quilt this in one day. No, not at all. I was very delusional in that. This took me a solid week to quilt it all together and get it bound. So once I started, because I was having some issues with my machine, with my thread kept breaking, and I just had to do some troubleshooting on that, and I fixed it, and once I did, I could get into a good rhythm. But this was definitely a learning process, because if you look closely, like if you were here and you were able to look closely at it, the stitches are not even close to the word even. There are like super tiny stitches and some big long ones and some skipped stitches. And so it took some practice to, and towards the end, I definitely got better at doing it and figuring out how quickly to move the quilt through the machine and to get those stitches more even. But this was a learning process for me. I'm not upset about the stitches if I look at them, if they're not uniform, skip stitches, all that stuff. Like, I don't care, because it's quilted together. it's for me. So this was just, I'm learning. I wanted to use up fabric. I had all the materials, so it was just for fun. And I love it so much. It's so bright and cheerful. Even though I'm not a summer person, but I love sunflowers. I just love, and I love yellow. Like, I don't think people love yellow enough, in my opinion. I had a room in our old house. We had a huge walk-in closet that came with it, and we had it painted a yellow, and it was pretty similar to this, and I loved it. We called it the sunshine room. But anyway, I love the binding that I used. It's like a crosshatch kind of a fabric, and I think it goes super well with this. Like, when you look at it, it just looks so nice. It just flows. And then the back, I don't think I showed this the last time. So the fabric here there's a light print on it, but then you have this fabric. It's a different one on the back. And I did machine stitch all of this together. I free motioned it on my machine. I did a sewn binding with my machine. I did not hand bind any of this. I did that with our bed quilt. I did the normal where you stitch it to the front, turn it around, and you hand stitch it to the back, but I don't want to do that anymore. So I stitched it to the front and the back, and here, if you look real close, right along the binding edge, you can see this line of stitching. That's where I turned it over and stitched it to the back. And I love it. So I'm going to stand back and show you the full thing. I don't know if you can see that through my couch, but there it is. It's touching my toes. And there's a kind of a better look. There we go. That all finished, and like I said, I love it so much. I washed it immediately because that is like one of the best parts about a homemade quilt is when you're done, wash it, because it kind of softens it up and makes it kind of crinkly. And I've been using it when I'm on the couch and I need something to cover my legs. And I will say it's because like I said, I have a quilt on our bed, and that's what we sleep with at night. But this, I don't have like any quilts like this size that I use on the couch. Like, you know, when you're watching TV and your legs might get chilly or your feet or something. So this is the first one that I've had. So using this, it's kind of funny. I was thinking to myself, it reminds me of hand knit socks in that if you, all of us watching, most of us are probably familiar. When you put on hand knit socks, it's like this instant warmth, but not hot. Not sweaty, not hot. Like there's a breathability to it if you're using merino wool. It's just amazing. But it's like instantly warm. And this is like that. Like I put this on and it's not hot. It's not heavy, but it feels very nice to have. And it's all cotton. But it's like hand knit socks to me. It was, you know, it's warm and comforting, but it doesn't make you sweat. Like those polyester blankets. Like I have them here, like this one. You know, these are those like soft kind of minky blankets, and we have a ton of them. I love them. You know, all the fun prints and stuff, but essentially those are made from plastic. And plastic is hot. It retains heat. There is no breathability to it. So it's just nice to kind of experience this when I'm sitting on the couch, not just in bed. I love this. And, oh, if you're wondering, if you are a sewer, this pattern, I use that term loosely, but you could find, I think it's called Jelly Roll Jamboree. And there's a few videos I saw on YouTube. Basically, it's just, you make these big long strips, like you sew some Jelly Roll strips together, whether it's 2, 3, 4, whatever. And then you cut them down to size, and then you just put strips in between and blah, blah, blah. But there's some videos on YouTube that you can watch and just look up Jelly Roll Jamboree quilt or blanket, and it should walk you through. And then you just alternate, like you have one this way and then you turn the other one. So you just alternate the direction of the blocks. So It's a little bit easier than like a, I think it's called a jelly roll. Is it rail fence? I think it's rail fence, where there's no sashing in between and you sew them together. But yeah, anyway, there is that. Okay, let's move on to works in progress. And then I have 2 things of mail, and that's it. Okay, so for works in progress, this has been like on my mind forever, and I talked about this previously, but I finally did it. I finally crocheted these little stars for my 4th of July or, you know, summer garland. So this was the July Yarnable. I haven't woven in the ends. I need to block these. So I made that one. I made 2 of these white ones. And right now, let me see if I can get a good one. This one might be better to show. These are granny stitch stars. So, I mean, you could block them out and make them pointier, but I kind of like that they're rounded. So they kind of remind me of like starfish. So I did that one. I did a couple in that yarn. And then I did 2 of these in that from Stitchin' with Yarn and 2 of these. So I just need to, probably this weekend, I will block all of these and then weave in the ends and then just string them together. So I will have that for next time. But this has like been in a bag, like except for the Stitchin' with Yarn for, I don't know, probably a year or 2, just waiting for me to make it. And I just had never gotten around. So I sat down last weekend because I got a lot of making time from being off work and learned the pattern, which is super easy, and just crocheted all these up. I think there's 10 of these, and I figured that would be plenty. So there's that. I will show you the finished garland probably next time when I'm on here. My next work in progress is my strip for my Little Squares knitted blanket. So the last time you saw it, look at all those colors. Last time you saw it, all I had was this done. So I've now added all of these colors in. There's my 4th of July yarns, and then I just finished this one today. This is the Sunshine, Snow Cones and Sunshine. That's all I had left. And as you can see, I'm over halfway done and still doing the intarsia. And so I know I talked about how I liked it the last time, but now I'm obviously this much into it. So I finally have a really good rhythm with it. And I would say if you're going to try something like this and do the intarsia method, if you're not familiar, like you've never done it before like me, I will say that it takes a little while to get your rhythm and how to arrange the yarn and kind of figure out how to do that to where you're not getting into a big tangled mess. It did take me a little bit of time after that first color when I picked it back up again to establish that rhythm and figure it out, but now I've got it down. And this is taking me a little bit longer to knit the squares than it was previously, just because I am doing intarsia and back and forth. So it just takes a little bit more thought. But I think in the end, I'm going to really love that I don't have to knit these side strips and I can just sew them together. So to me, it's worth it that it's taking a little bit longer. I'm not bothered by that. So anyway, there's that. And I will be adding in these 2 colors from the Legacy Fiber Art socks. And that will make colors 8 and 9. So after that, I will only have 3 colors left. And I'm not sure how long it will take me to actually finish that strip, depending on leftovers from future projects. So, future projects, I am getting ready to cast on some Christmas in July socks. So my plan, I'm going to start these today. I have 2 different ones that I have scraps of, and I decided to go with these instead of something new that hadn't been caked up because I really want socks out of these, and I have had them in a bin for a while for this purpose. So I decided I'm getting them done this month. It's happening. I'm doing it so that when Christmas does come around, November and December, I can pull Christmas yarns from new yarns that have not been worked with yet. So anyway, here is the yarns that I'm going to use. This is Sweet Tea Yarns. Is it Vintage Farmhouse Christmas, I think is what it was called. So I made a sock set out, I made a pair of socks out of this, and I think I gave them to my mom. They were a little bit longer socks than I like, because back when I first made them, I was doing longer socks because I hadn't quite figured out the formula that I liked. So I gave those to her, but I have enough left for me to do my shorty pair. So there's that one. And then this set is from Granite State Yarns, and I believe this was called Peppermint Hot Chocolate. And you can't really see it on here. It's probably not going to translate on the camera very well, but this mini is dyed. I think it's Bear yarn, but it's got a little bit of that kind of pinky chocolate, just kind of speckled in there. So it's kind of like a toasted marshmallow kind of a thing. And then obviously this is the, you know, with the reds and browns and stuff. So I did make a pair out of this as well. Adrian has those. Another thing I wanted to show is the bag I have them in. I got this at Christmas and I have yet to use it, but I will talk about this in just a second, but see if you can see here. This is 3 by the Sea Designs, but this is their fabric from that cute collection, Mrs. Claus's Bakery. And I have their tag in here. See that? 3 by the Sea. And if you notice, this is not something they sell. So I had originally gotten a drawstring size bag from them, which is bigger than this. And I knew when I bought it, I hate drawstring bags. I'll just say it. I have a couple, but I hate them. When you have them like closed up, like the drawstrings, like, you know, closed up, those get in the way. They get tangled in things. It's just not my favorite style of bag. I don't like zipper really either, because I always find the yarn somehow, some way gets caught in the zipper tab. It does not matter if I'm pulling from the opposite end. Somehow when I'm using those, my yarn gets caught up underneath that zipper tab thing. So snap bags are my preferred and favorite kind of bag. It's pretty much the only ones I use, with very few exceptions. I got the bag, and what I did was I carefully took apart the bag, and I undid everything and took the inside and the outside fabric and their tag, and I interfaced it, like, because I had to take off the old interfacing that they had on there, took all that off, put on brand new, and stitched it all back together. Like, I cut it to the size of bag that I had in my shop for the small snap, and made my size, made my favorite. So using their gorgeous custom fabric, because I'm pretty sure this is an exclusive to them. Like, I think they designed it, and you can't you can't find this print anywhere. I think it's exclusively for them. Anyway, I was happy to purchase it from them to do that. So I did that, sewed it all back up. The only thing the drawstring channels, this is kind of a long story. The drawstring channels, I'd originally unstitched all of those, or unpicked them all. I made a handle, but I made a mistake in that I added interfacing to both pieces, sewed them together and made a handle, and it was way too thick by the time I sewed it into the seam. And I knew at some point it was going to rip the bag just because of how thick it was. It just, it wasn't compatible with the seam. It just wasn't going to work. So what I did was I looked at my stash. I didn't have anything that would match this. So I had this 1/2-inch seatbelt webbing, nylon seatbelt webbing. And I thought, okay, it's a light kind of bubblegum pink. It will work. So I just did that. And I cannot wait to use it because I love this print. So if you're a sewist and you find that you have bags that maybe aren't your preference or your style anymore, you might want to think about, if you love the fabric, and just picking it apart and making it into something you will use. So these are going to get cast on today, like I said. Can't wait to use the bag. Very excited about that because it is so adorable. Oh, love it so much. Okay. Project updates. My star blanket, I have not worked on. I actually had a hand injury there for a couple weeks. I had two, like back to back. Like my ring finger on this hand, I had like some sort of weird pain where like extending my finger, like just doing like this, it was pulling something in here and it was killing me. So I couldn't crochet for a little while. And then I did do the stars after it started to heal. So I haven't worked on the big blanket. I figured I would give it a rest. And then right after that, I was, it's a weird story. But I was at we have an orchard down the road from our house, and they sell like homemade jams and apples and all that kind of stuff. So I went there because Adrian wanted some jam and some jellies. And so I went there, I picked up 4 of them, and I was like carrying them in my arm, and they're all in glass jars. So I'm trying not to drop them, you know, shatter them all over the place. So I'm carrying them in my arm, and I don't know if I had like my arm twisted weird, like my wrist twisted weird or something, because when I set them down on the register, I felt like a twinge here in my wrist. And I got home, and like all afternoon, I'm like, oh my gosh, my hand, my arm, my wrist is killing me. And it was like that for a couple of days. Like I couldn't really I couldn't bend my wrist back. So I think I'd like tweaked it or something, or maybe like strained it. But so I figured I would not crochet because you're using different motions in your hand. So I just kind of said, oh, whatever, we'll just work on that when I work on it. And so that's that for the star blanket. And then my crochet Hexi blanket, the DK one. So I got in contact with Kimber's Cozy Creations. I put in an order for more of the Pop-Tart Crust colorway. However, she didn't have enough yarn in stock to dye it for me. She had to order it, and now she's on a road trip to Alaska. So she won't be back until, I think she said August 4th or something. So I probably won't have the yarn to continue with that until I would imagine September, mid-September. Just kind of depends on her workload and all that kind of stuff, which is totally fine because I figured, okay, that gives me like, 2 months or something to kind of concentrate on other projects and not feel like I have to rush and finish that one. I know I don't have to, but for me, I know if I had the yarn, I would be working on that every single day to try and get it done. So it's kind of nice that she didn't get to dye that for me, so I can take a break from it without feeling like some sort of weird internal guilt. But so yeah, I'm concentrating on, my summer socks and maybe some sewing projects, just kind of whatever. It's, and I have other ideas for blankets. Like I said in previous episodes, like I need any more blanket projects, but I have like 3 more in my brain for yarn that I already have. Like without having to buy anything, I have 3 more blanket projects. So it's just, I guess I'm just in a blanket mood. I don't know. So anyway, I will talk about those when those actually get started. They're just ideas at the moment. I haven't started them. I'm kind of trying to finish up, maybe some other things first before I actually cast those on. So there you go. Okay, little tiny bit of mail. I got my Schitt's Creek Club colorway for, is this July? So that one was June. Did I say it was July? That one was June. This one is July. This is called I Like Your Sweater. And okay, someone who has watched the show, I've watched it like 3 or 4 times. Tell me what scene this is from. I cannot for the life of me, and I haven't Googled it, but I cannot for the life of me think of the inspiration scene for this sock set. So it's right there. I Like Your Sweater. So someone in the comments, tell me what season and what scene is that from, because I cannot think of what season that's in. But anyway, I love this. It's very fall to me. Like the tones feel very fall. I'm excited to work with this one. I might save this for like I think a September cast on. It kind of feels like it's screams, early fall, September. Okay, and then the other thing I got is my Yarnable, which you've probably already seen, but this is saltwater taffy. It's a lot of purpley, pinky kind of colors, and honestly, I have no idea what to do with this. I knew what it was going to look like because I always look at the sneak peek. I know some people don't do that. They want the surprise, but the sneak peek is there and I'm fully going to take advantage of it. So I don't know what to do with this. I was kind of thinking Musselburgh hat or some sort of hat. It doesn't have to be that one, but you know, it's very tonal. So I don't know. I mean, it's pretty, but you know, I really love a variegated speckled yarn. Those are really my favorite. Like these kind of like more light, like it's either like a solid tonal, you know, that you're kind of going for, or a speckled. Like this one, you know, you have the solid, more solid color, and then you definitely have speckled. Those are kind of more my jam. These, not really. I'm not really feeling this. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this. I don't know. This might just get thrown in the stash for a while and, you know, nothing made with it. I didn't work up with the confetti, what is it, confetti party or something, whatever last month's was that kind of got put away too. I love that one, but just wasn't feeling it at the moment. So actually that might be nice. Those two put together for something. Now that I think about that, that didn't occur to me before, but they kind of go together. That is all of my projects and, you know, stories for you. And I don't really do the reading and watching thing or life updates because we're really boring around here and we watch the same things all the time. We just finished Criminal Minds Evolution, that current season, last night. And tonight we're watching the first episode of Dexter Resurrection. We love Dexter, Original Sin. I don't really like New Blood, but that's a whole other thing. So we will be watching that. I've so far heard that it's got great reviews, so I'm super pumped about that. And then we are currently in the throes of watching Grimm. That's an older show and loving it. We were almost in season 3 and it is so good. Like if you've never watched that show, it is so good. Like especially season 2, we're like almost through season 2 and there have been so many twists and turns and like episodes that have just like want to watch another one. You just like have to watch another one. So it's very bingeable, which is good and bad. So we're loving that. I think there's 6 seasons of that. Yeah. And pretty soon, before you know it, all of our normal shows will be back on the air. We have most of the shows that we watch are on Paramount. In my opinion, that app is really just killing it with the shows. Like CBS, Paramount, they really have a lot to offer in terms of shows that we like. We don't really watch stuff from other networks. At least not until they're like, you know, on other streaming services like Amazon or whatever. That is pretty much all I have to share with you guys today. Thank you so much for watching this episode. If you like this episode, hit the like button. And if you aren't subscribed to my channel, hit the subscribe button. And I will see you guys next time. Take care and God bless. Bye.